Well, thank you very much for being here tonight. I want to give an introduction for Noam, but I also thought that what I ought to do is give you a little bit of a history of how this series was started. Not a lot, but just so you understand exactly how it came to be. Last summer, while I was in Oxford, England, I learned of an important project underway by one of the world's two leading medical journals, The Lancet, in which, for the first time ever, a comprehensive study of the effects of health services and medical conditions under siege and occupation in the Palestinian territories would be assessed. I understood at once the importance of this issue, not only because of the advanced research going into these studies, but also because of the findings that they would highlight, and that would highlight in the most impartial and scientific methods possible, how the structural and political conditions inherent in colonial settler projects serve to deform the normal development of indigenous national movements wherever they may spring up. The Lancet special series on Palestine would be appearing in March 2009, last month. I therefore lined up two speakers, Professors Rita Jackaman of Birzeit University in Ramallah, the West Bank, and Graham Watt of the University of Glasgow, to come discuss their articles and findings. What I did not know then was that in December, the Israeli occupation forces would launch a 3-week-long, round-the-clock, ground, sea, and aerial attack on the Gaza Strip that would take the lives of over 1,400 people, 85% of whom were civilians, and over 350 of whom were school-aged children or younger. Former United Nations Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in the occupied territories, John Dugard, who has visited the Gaza Strip approximately every 6 months for the past 8 years and has seen his share of the horrors, destruction, and indiscriminate killing so frequently unleashed against this territory, claimed that the assault that took place on the Gaza Strip between December 27, 2008 and January 17, 2009, on a population of 1.5 million inhabitants, 50% of whom are under the age of 20, was the single worst assault on the totally captive population of the Gaza Strip he had ever witnessed. It was the unprecedented level of destruction on this economyless, mutilated, and degraded strip of land and its inhabitants that led me to broaden the topic to one that would help explain what has happened to the decades-long struggle of the Palestinians for justice, human rights, and self-determination. I could think of no better person more qualified to speak about the role of U.S. foreign policy, Israeli security, and human rights in the occupied Palestinian territories than MIT professor Noam Chomsky, considered by many as the foremost living intellectual, independent thinker, scholar, and human rights activist in the world today. His understanding of U.S. foreign policy, of the nature of power and domination over the world's populations and resources, and of the depraved silence of intellectual and media elites in the face of some of the most atrocious crimes of the modern nation state, have made him simultaneously one of the most revered and reviled people alive today. Indeed, to give an example of the different types of responses the mention of Noam Chomsky can elicit, the very first group I approached for co-sponsorship of this series was the University of Wisconsin's Human Rights Initiative. To my surprise, my request was declined. Were Rita and Graham really professors? I was asked. What qualifications, he demanded, did Noam Chomsky have to speak on the Gaza Strip? And would this series have anything to do with human rights? Finally, I was told very seriously that this program was unbalanced, and that if Noam Chomsky were to speak here, then Harvard lawyer Alan Dershowitz should also be on the panel. Exasperated, I relayed these comments to Noam, who responded that if Alan Dershowitz was going to be speaking on a panel, someone from Al-Qaeda should be present. For me, Noam Chomsky is not only a scholar, a teacher, a person of great integrity, compassion, and someone with a delightful sense of humor and abiding love for the people, in particular his recently deceased lovely wife, Carol. But also, Noam Chomsky is the person whose life's work has influenced me more than that of any other human being. I cannot express here the debt and the gratitude I owe this person, both as my teacher and my friend. Please join me in welcoming Professor Noam Chomsky.
Technology and I don't get along very well together, so let me know whether you can hear me.